Well, I'm coming to you from the basement, Haznaw. It's pretty cool down here. Seriously, it's actually really cold down here. I wasn't kidding when I said it's cool. Anyway, today I'd like to read something to you that I wrote a couple months ago. It's called Looking Back, and it's kind of lighthearted, but it's also a little bit reflective, so I hope you like it. I began running in the fall of 1987, primarily to lose the beer and junk food weight I accumulated in college, and there was quite a bit of it. Now, as someone who'd always been an athlete, I was looking for something active to do in my spare time to supplement things like rec basketball, slow pitch softball, and the occasional round of golf. So one day, I lugged my overweight, out-of-shape ass out the door, wearing a pair of outdated, worn-out running shoes, and set out for a 2-mile slog. When it was over, I felt terrible. No different than the half a dozen other times over the past 4 years I had looked in the mirror and told myself, okay, it's time to get back in shape, we're going to start running. My chest felt like it was going to explode. I had a headache, and every part of my body, from my back to my feet, hurt. The difference is this time, instead of throwing the shoes back in the closet and saying to my mirrored self, thanks but no thanks, maybe next year, I decided that if my body felt that bad after 20 minutes of relatively vigorous exercise, I needed to do it again the next day, and the day after that, so on. And I did, eventually creating a habit which led me to losing my college weight and then some, participating in a bunch of fun races and events, and achieving some modest personal goals along the way. Today, my running objectives are much different than they were 25 or even 5 years ago. These days, I run to feel good, to stay healthy, and to clear my mind. And speaking of mind, when I run, I sometimes need games or diversions to pass the time and to keep me going that final mile or two. In recent years, I've taken to running backward for short spurts. In the running biz, folks call it retro running. But when I hear that, it makes me think of the guys from Chariots of Fire running in white shirts and matching cotton shorts with nails pounded through the soles of their black leather shoes as precursors to modern-day track spikes. No, retro running is good if you're good at it. It's downright dangerous if you're not, or if you're not careful. So always know your limits and the terrain, because when I do it, it not only works different muscles than when I'm running forward, but the view and the experience is different as well. A bit of warning if you're thinking of trying it out. It also draws attention, and several people over the years have stopped me in the grocery store or other places to ask, is it possible I saw you running backward the other day? What's interesting to me is that when I'm running backward, the ground I've covered, my immediate past, seems to get smaller and distant much faster than what's in front of me when I'm running forward. Although I know that's not true, the perception is that I'm covering ground faster, in essence, watching my past travel at a much quicker rate than my future. And that's also the way I feel every day in my normal life. As I get older, it seems like time has moved faster when I look back on things, and that the future and all my upcoming goals and objectives is approaching at a much slower pace, and with more effort. Why is that? Why, in both running and in my life, does the past seem to, well, pass so much quicker than the future, even though I'm not moving any faster or making things happen at a quicker pace? I noticed it the first time I retro ran, and every time I've done it, hundreds of times over the past few years, it still puzzles me and intrigues me. Why does that which is behind us seem to move quicker than the future we are approaching? Or does it? One day I thought, maybe it's just me and no one else has had the same experience. But why would that be? Why would I have a unique experience to something relatively normal? I know what you're thinking, running backwards outdoors is not normal. But if you don't want to try it, you could easily substitute looking out the window of a moving vehicle, preferably when you're not in the driver's seat. It's interesting that as I get older, my sense of how long ago something occurred is often inaccurate because it seems to be more recent than it really is. In other words, I might suggest something happened 3 years ago, only to be corrected by someone saying, 3 years? We went to Fort Wayne 7 years ago. It happens all the time. Sometimes, I'm glad when the past leaves quickly, like after a difficult time in my life, or the aforementioned and hypothetical trip to Fort Wayne. And often I wish the future would show up sooner, just so I can know things will turn out okay. Other times it's flipped. As someone in his mid-50s, I relish the days ahead, but I don't want them to come too quickly because I want to maximize my time here. So what's the point? Maybe it's this. We don't know what our personal or collective future holds. So maybe it's time to turn around, just for a moment or two every once in a while, to acknowledge how far we've come to get to this point. And to understand that if we keep going, we'll get through today, and tomorrow, and the day after that, and so on. Be healthy, be safe, be happy. And every once in a while, turn around to see how far you've come. It might be worth the effort.